Hi everyone, welcome to week 7 of our Composition 1 class. This week, you'll learn about acknowledging source material for writing Project 2. Then you'll write a complete draft and post it to the discussion board for your peers to review next week. Remember that you already have all that good pre-writing and planning from last week, and you can return to that material as a good starting point for making your draft. For task 7.1, you have some readings from your textbook. I would like you to do the chapter on quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing, the chapter on acknowledging sources and avoiding plagiarism, as well as the chapter on documentation. You'll probably notice a theme here. All of these chapters are about engaging with sources and making sure that you are using them correctly and ethically. For task 7.2, you'll be learning how to acknowledge sources in your draft. For this project, we'll use a formal system of acknowledging sources known as MLA, which is short for the Modern Language Association. MLA style calls for you to cite your sources in two places. First of all, within your sentences. These are referred to as in-text citations. They'll also sometimes be called parenthetical citations because they oftentimes occur in parentheses. And then the second location is in a works cited page at the end of your text. There should only be a handful of sources that you'll cite in this paper. You'll be citing your lens text or texts, as well as the two images that you are using for your analysis. You'll need to cite both of those things, so both the lens text and the images that you are using. To do in-text citations, we have some instructions here. I may not go over all of this with you, or I might just summarize kind of what's going on here. When you refer to a lens text, so for instance, if you're using Kilborn, she would be your lens. You should use a signal phrase. A signal phrase signals to your reader where the information is coming from, where you got your facts, statistics, what have you. So an example of that is this right here. Jean Kilborn, a media critic, says in her video "Killing Us Softly 4" that women are often objectified in advertisements. So this is a very thorough signal phrase. It's doing several really good things. It's letting us know the author, the creator, Jean Kilborn. It's giving us a little bit of information about her. She's a media critic. And it's also letting us know where the reader can find that information. It's in the documentary Killing Us Softly 4. So that's a very thorough signal phrase. It lets my reader know very clearly who and where I'm getting my information from. You'll notice that Jean Kilburn's full name is used here. Use the first name only the first time you refer to a source. After that, you can just say Kilborn. And honestly, you don't even have to ever use the person's first name. It's perfectly fine to use their last name. However, you should not just refer to a person by their first name. Likewise, the first time you mention a source, it's good to say kind of like who that person is and where the information is coming from. But after that, you don't need to keep repeating that information. So every time you mention Jean Kilborn, you don't have to point out that she's a media critic. You don't have to keep saying Killing Us Softly 4. You can just say Kilborn says, Kilborn points out, things like that. If you decide to directly quote from one of your sources, you'll need to put those words in quotation marks. So any words that are taken directly from a source need to be put in quotation marks. And here's an example of that. So Kilborn says in her video that ads have, quote, long promised us a better relationship via a product, end quote. Now, we've already mentioned the author's name in the signal phrase, Jean Kilborn says. So we don't need to repeat her name in the in-text citation here, in the parenthetical citation. You'll notice that the name of the video wasn't mentioned in the sentence, so it's being mentioned here. You don't normally do that, but for this particular, like, so how you would cite this source is the name of the video comes first on the works cited page. And so that's why we're putting that in parentheses here. Normally, an author's last name comes first on a works cited page entry, and we normally put the last name of the author in this parentheses. But in this case, the first thing on the works cited entry would be Killing Us Softly 4, and that's why we're including it here in the parenthetical citation. Number two, when you refer to your images, you'll need to cite those as well. For doing this, you can just refer to the images by name. For instance, the ad for extra gum portrays a stick of gum wearing a bikini. And that should be enough for your in-text citation there. And now on to the works cited page. So this information was just on how to do in-text citations. Now we're on to doing a works cited page. To cite the lens video, you can follow this example here, which is taken from your textbook. And to cite your images, you can follow these examples here. So this is how you cite a print ad. This is how you cite an ad found on the web. Here's how to cite other images. Also a link down here for more help with MLA. And your works cited page will be the last page of your document. It should be a page all on its own. There are some examples in your textbook on what a works cited page should look like. For task 7.3, you're going to be creating your draft. Use the resources available to you. Go back to last week's pre-writing to get started, reread the assignment sheet description to remind yourself what your goal is, and read the Student Success Gallery papers. You might also consult your textbook menu at the front of the book to find specific chapters that could support your writing. And once you've done all that, you should be in a good place to actually write the draft. For task 7.4, we're going to be thinking about designing your document. Here you can download a sample first page for a document in MLA format. There's a couple of things that you should consider here. The assignment asks you to use MLA, as we have talked about, which has certain rules for spacing and font. You can find those listed here. And you should also include the images that you're analyzing. Even though you're describing the images in your paper, it is helpful to include them in the paper as well, just so your readers can see them. And there's a video down here on MLA formatting in Microsoft Word that you could find helpful. For task 7.5, you will post to the week 7/8 discussion board. You only have one post this week. By Sunday at 11:59, you should post your project 2 draft. Please copy and paste your draft into the thread text box or attach it as a docx file. And at the top of your post, make a few notes about what you're struggling with or what you would like feedback on. This week, you do not have to make any replies to your peers. You'll be doing that next week when you do the peer review. And lastly, the last page of our week 7 module here, you'll be submitting your draft. So we did this for writing project 1 as well. You're submitting your draft in 2 places. You're posting it to the discussion board so that your peers can read it, and you're also submitting it directly to me on this page here so that I can give you a grade for the rough draft. That is all for this week. Let me know if you have any questions.